Hi everyone, and welcome to Dial Me Later podcast. I am your host Stephanie, and this first episode is called the Hot Mess Hotline. So this episode I will be talking about why I created this podcast and what we're going to be going over, and I will briefly be touching topics on everything, mainly about myself, so you guys can get to know me a little bit better and what this podcast is all about. Why am I so nervous? So my name is Stephanie. If you guys don't know me, I am on Instagram at Stephanie Swasho. I am a dog groomer, I am an educator, I am a competitor as well. Also 2025 two-time nominee Barclay nominated. I would love to always sprinkle that in there because why not? I didn't win this year, but that's okay. I really did not care to win, just because I was just happy to be nominated and I just wanted that damn plaque with my name on it. So that's all I really cared about. So I wanted to start this podcast because I feel like a lot of people don't realize how realistic and relatable I am, and when they do, everyone just ends up having so many questions for me and they just want to know everything. How do I deal with certain things? So I know there are a lot of you, especially if you are a dog groomer watching this, you guys have a lot of social anxiety, which I completely understand, and so maybe you might not feel comfortable reaching out, which by the way, I am a very friendly, approachable person. I just feel like a lot of people are intimidated to approach me for some reason, and I don't know, like, do I give that bitch vibe? Maybe, maybe not, but I am the furthest thing from a bitch. Honestly, I'm like so friendly. I'm so friendly, I'm so relatable, and I'm just a sweetheart. Like, everyone can tell you that. Anyone that has ever met me can say that. But I recently shared about my OCD and my panic attack disorder, as well as my anxiety, and that has sparked a lot of you to come to me and talk to me about your similar issues, and that means a lot to me. And I didn't realize how many of us, my cat is just playing with her tail, and that is so distracting. So I did not realize how many of you struggle with the same thing, and I think it's just ironic that we're all working with animals, and so we all deal with different things. Mentally wise, is this microphone up correctly? There we go, I think that looks better. Now I feel like it's too tall. Oh geez, I don't want to mess with that. Sidebar, this was supposed to be a silver bedazzled microphone, but apparently I ordered a black one, which we're gonna work with that, although I wanted the silver one. Will I change it? Possibly. So getting back on topic, which that is something I do a lot. My ADHD is just like everywhere, which is like my cats are just walking around and I'm just like trying not to focus on them, and it's like really hard. But I did want to touch just a little bit on the topic because that is something I do want to talk about as well. Mental health, how I deal with it, how I deal with my anxiety, how I deal with my panic attack disorder, especially that I'm on my own in the van. And little note, that is what I wanted to do before I opened my first shop. I wanted to go mobile. Oh my god, my cat is being so annoying. I can't keep looking at her. I wanted to go mobile, but my main reason, besides a lot of things, number one being how expensive it was, is at the time I wasn't able to go anywhere by myself. There was absolutely no way. I could hardly even be home by myself without feeling like I was gonna have a panic attack. So briefly wanted to touch up on that. Throughout the episodes there will be a mental health episode where that's all I talk about. So going back to me, I don't even know what else I was talking about. So I've been grooming for 7 years now. I started out in PetSmart. I was a corporate girly. I was actually a bather for 2 years, almost 3 years, before I became a groomer because I was in school to become a vet. And long story short, I was in school for about 2.5 to 3 years. But I was just doing my general credits, so like regular math, science, history, blah, 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 blah. And then my final year of college was finally getting my toes wet into the anatomy of animals. And basically I wanted to start getting myself into the field and start getting experience. And I was 19 at the time. No one wanted to hire me for not only my age, but they wanted someone with experience. They wanted someone that had, I couldn't even be a receptionist. They wanted me to have experience, and I'm like, I will literally just clean the piss and shit. Like, make me your bitch in this place. I do not care. But nobody was having it, and I'm a firm believer in like the universe and what it has planned for me. And now I do see that everything does happen for a reason, because I would not be here right now talking on this podcast. And so when I'm someone that's very determined. If I want something, I'm going to go get it by any means. I don't care what is in my way. I will go and get what I want. And so I didn't stop trying. I kept looking at different veterinary services, and then I just Googled like jobs with animals, and PetSmart came up, and I went on there. Originally applied to become pet care because that's working around animals. Like, why not? So I got an interview, and while I was in the interview, the store manager basically asked me like, hey, like, would you ever consider becoming a bather? And I was like, a bather? Like, you know, because I just thought like a groomer, you just had to be a dog groomer, so you had to go to like school for it or something. And he was like, yeah, like basically you just wash and dry dogs, do the nails, ears, clean. And me being naive at the time, like what every other pet parent would think, and it's just like, oh well, yeah, like I just gotta like wash dogs all day. Like, that's fun. I get to play with dogs and like be around them and just like whatever. Like, how hard can that be, right? And I was like, yeah, like I'm definitely interested in that. I mean, it's still working around animals, you know. So I got hired immediately. Introduced me, the girls in there were kind of like bitches to me a little bit, but like I didn't care. Like, I never let that bother me. Like, I've never been in an uncomfortable situation like that, where it's very hard to make me uncomfortable, because I'm just such a positive person that you can be mean mugging me and I'll be smiling right back at you. Like, I just don't care if you don't like me. And so I started there as a bather, and I was a bather for like 2 years. And my store manager, the salon manager at the time, was like pushing me, like bugging me, like, you should become a groomer. Like, you're great with the animals, you're great with the dog. Like, I love your enthusiasm. You're just such a great person. I think you'll be a great fit. And you know, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. Like, I love what I'm doing right now, but I just don't think like that's for me. I don't know. Like, is that like a good career choice? You know, because I was in school to become a vet, but I had 5 more years to go. Possibly 6. The average GPA was like 4.0, which is like very hard to keep. So that was stressing me out a little bit. But then I was just like, you know what? One day, I can't really remember why, but one day I was just like, you know what, like, okay, like, let's do it, but like, I can only be part-time. And my store manager was like, you know, we really don't do that, like, you have to be full-time. But she was like, for you, like, I'll do it, but you have to do full-time for the academy, and then you can go back to part-time. And I said, okay, that works for me. So I went to academy, and it was just so fun. I remember the like excitement of like just starting something new. And of course, me being me, I bedazzled my ID card at PetSmart. So I've always been that way. And it was just a great time, honestly. I do wish now, looking back, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a free academy, and it got me to where I am now. It included all my tools, and I got basic knowledge. And I do wish that we had more time to practice. They basically give you 1 month to learn everything. So I remember the first 2 weeks were just like book work, which was like so boring to me. And I was just like, oh my god, like, get me in there already. It was like book work, which is important, obviously, but I'm just saying how I felt. We learned the tools, tool maintenance, shear maintenance, very lightly touched up on it. and then like proper range of motion of the dog, and like types of hair lengths and all that stuff. And then the last 2 weeks we actually got to work on the dogs. But how they did it was we had to have 2 of us work on 1 dog at a time. And so like, now that I think about it, that's just like horrible, because like one side's gonna come out completely different than the other side. And then it's like also dangerous, because I remember 2 of us working on a dog, like 1 dog at the same time, and like that's very dangerous now that I think about it. But whatever. I don't know how they do it now. I don't know if anything's changed. So if you are currently or just finished PetSmart Academy or did it after me, I did it in 2018, let me know. I'm very curious to know if they changed their procedures. But and then we weren't allowed to do faces. We were only able to do faces literally like the last 3 days, and we didn't even get to fully do a face, which really upset me. Because I'm like, okay, you're gonna throw me back into my salon, and I still don't have enough practice in faces. But you know, whatever, I didn't know any better, so I was just like, okay, I'll learn as I go. So I went back to my store, and I was just grooming. I remember some grooms I was so proud of, and then like one of the girls, I don't know if they were lying or not, but they were like, oh, like the owner hated it. They said it was the worst groom that they ever had, and it made me feel bad. But you know, like I was just like, well, you ain't gonna win them all. Like I know that, like I'm still new, but I do remember some of the girls booking me like bad dogs, like dogs that said manager only. And my manager at the time was a super pushover. If you're watching this, I love you, but you were such a fucking pushover. Like I cannot like even, anyways, we're not gonna get into that. But a lot of the girls in the salon would like basically do whatever they wanted. And one of the things that they did, which fucked me up, excuse me, I have a potty mouth, but was schedule me like dogs that are horrible, like dogs that they don't want to do, they don't want to deal with. And now these girls have 2, 4, 5 years experience, and I'm like literally 2 months in getting scheduled these dogs. So not only am I trying to still learn the skill, I'm like dealing with these difficult dogs by myself, and now I'm grateful for it. So if they wanted to be malicious about it, that's fine with me. Like, thank you, you gave me the experience and the knowledge that I have now to deal with difficult dogs. But I do still talk to a few of them. Obviously they got to know me, and I feel like that's something a lot too. Like there's a lot of people in this industry, or just like people in general, like they initially see me, they see how I am online, and they're just like, oh, I don't like this girl. But then you talk to me, you get to know me, and like I'm super chill. Like I am like nothing like how anybody else would portray me as, if that makes sense. Like some people just find me annoying, and that's fine. I mean, again, I'm not one that really cares. That's one thing I like about myself, that I just don't care. But yeah, so I was doing great, I was doing good. There were some grooms that I was proud of, there were some grooms that I look at all of them and I'm just like, ugh. But I do remember having a dog that wanted like a teddy bear Asian fusion trim, and I didn't know much about it, but like other than what was on Pinterest, because I didn't know anything else. I just thought like dog grooming, you just get the dogs in, you do your local dogs, and that's it. I had no idea about any of the grooms, like influencers, grooming influencers, competitors. I had no idea at the time about any of that. And so I did this one dog, his name was Milo, and a girl that was a bather after I became a groomer, I convinced her to become a groomer, because I was always that friendly person. Anybody new that came in, like I didn't want anybody to feel how I felt, and because I know not everyone can handle it very well, so I always wanted to be that friendly face that everyone had, or anyone can come to if they had any questions. And so I convinced a lot of the girls that were bathers to become groomers, and they did, and they always loved working with me. But she had this like dog, and she was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Like they want this kind of groom. And I was probably grooming for 1.5 years now, so I was like, oh, I'll help you. And we still have the picture somewhere, I can't find it, I still talk to her. But I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, I did a pretty good job, like a good job. And I'm like really hard on myself too. So the fact that I said like, oh, I did a pretty good job, and now that's saying that looking back on my grooms from like 7 years ago, I did a pretty good fucking job. But I was so proud of that groom. But it did upset me that I think she said that she did the groom, and I was just like, okay, well now I'm not helping you next time. Like, that's messed up. But yeah, and then I became salon manager 2 years after 2018, 19, yeah, 2 years after I was grooming. They offered me a managing position, and of course I took it, you know, climbing the corporate ladder. And it was going very well. Like, I think I was being very fair. I had like a cleaning list for everyone to do, so like we can make sure everyone's cleaned properly, because you know, like, all the girls complain about everything. Like, you can never satisfy everyone, but I always try to do my best to satisfy everyone. But not to get too deep into that, basically what ended up happening was COVID-19 happened, and at that time they were talking to me about becoming a DAT, and I was super on board, but then I wasn't, because this was a time where I wasn't comfortable traveling anywhere by myself, and I would have been in charge of the entire northeastern territory, I guess you can say. So I would have had to travel all of New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Maine, New Jersey. There was a few other states. There was 2 more. I can't get the top of my head. Basically the whole northeastern that I would have to travel to, and like I would have to travel by myself because Charles had a job, his own job at the time. So it's like I was like really hesitant, and I was just like telling them like, I don't know if I can do it, and like the pay was just so much better, and it was like so much better overall, because like I just had to travel and like teach people, which sounded amazing to me. And I was basically going to become like in the corporate of PetSmart, because that's a much higher position, because now I'm not stationed to one store, I'm like everywhere. And then I also had to do like other things, and like do like safety protocols, like going to the salon, seeing if everyone's okay, and blah 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 blah. So it sounded amazing, but this is one of the things that my anxiety messed up for me, I guess you can say, because I ended up declining that opportunity and stayed as a manager, solely because I couldn't get myself to travel by myself. Even though I will be driving, I couldn't imagine myself, or even now still I can't imagine myself going anywhere by myself that's further away, like 30 minutes plus from my house. There's no way. And those are times where I feel like my anxiety just messes opportunities for me up, and I'm really trying to work on that and not have any more opportunities be ruined for me. So after that, what is this? Oh, that's so funny. So after that, COVID happened, and they came to us and basically said, you know, everything was shutting down, and that they're gonna have to temporarily let go of all the groomers, including me, because grooming was not considered an essential, which I found insane now, because back then I didn't really have that much knowledge that I have now to understand the importance of not only the health of the dog, but the mental of the dog as well. And so I was just like begging my store manager. I was like, okay, is there anything that I can do? Is there, I can work at the register, because I knew how to work at the register, because that's where I met Charles. He was working as a assistant manager at PetSmart, and so I knew how to do everything. I know how to open and close the store. I knew the lock codes. I was like, I know everything. I was like, I can do overnight stock. Like, I do not care. Like, I need a job. Like, I cannot be without a job. Like, I'll do whatever. And they're just like, no, like, we're not hiring, we're letting people go on the floor as is. And I'm just like, oh, okay, like, I understand. Because like at the time I'm like, it's not your fault, like, you know, this is a state thing, it's not a PetSmart thing. And so I had 2 cats at the time, and so I get a discount at PetSmart. So of course I would go and get my discount to get my cats food, because the store was still open, because that is essential, because it's food for animals. And so I'm walking in and I see a for hire sign in the front, and I'm like, well, that's weird. And one of the managers there, he wasn't a store assistant, he was just like I guess you could say like a key holder or something like that. I was like, you guys are hiring? And like, I was really cool with him, and so was Charles. And he was like, yeah, like messed up because like they let a lot of people go and now they're just like trying to hire. And I'm like, yeah, it is messed up because I asked to be employed. And he's like, I was like, I know everything already, like I don't understand. And he's like, well, the issue is they don't want to pay you your pay. They rather hire people at a minimum wage, at a lower wage, than to pay you, because they could probably have 4 employees for one of me. And I was like, that's really fucked up. And he's like, yeah, it is fucked up. And like, I went home and I was like, Charles, I was pissed off. I was like livid. It was the fact that I did so much for that company, just out of the kindness of my heart. Not that I wanted anything back, but like the fact that I paid for things out of pocket for that, for events that they got together, for my girls that I was managing for the holidays. We did a Secret Santa. They've never done that before. Thanksgiving potluck stuff, I think that we did before. But I also, Raven, she's like chasing my cats. My animals are like, they're so chill. When I want to do something, then they want to be all crazy. I bought them gift cards, and all the managers out there, like I just did things out of the kindness of my heart. And then and it was like, I knew better. It was just a reminder that this is a corporate setting and this is anybody's business setting. Like, you're replaceable. And so I was like, you know what, like I was always that groomer that like spent extra time with my dogs. Like the owners would pick up late. I would like literally go inside the kennel with the dog, although I was not allowed to do that, and just like lay with them and just hang out with them. Or I'd take them out and I'll have them wait out with me, like, you know, if I didn't have any other dogs to do, or just because like I cared about them. I cared about like how they felt. And so, and I think that's something too that like I was just on a podcast with Jay Snowden, phenomenal guy, and he had asked me, he said, there was a question that someone asked, like basically like why do I still groom, like what makes me stay in this career? And my answer was simple, right away to the point. And I said, the reason why I stay in this career, well, I'll put it this way. If my social media just got wiped, if I got canceled for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason would ever be, but if I had just gotten canceled and just like my social media just got deleted, like I will be perfectly okay. I would be content, and I would be okay with just grooming my dogs and going home and not worrying about anything else, because I truly have a passion for this. I truly love what I do. And I just also think that I need to be there for the clients that I have, because a lot of my clients, not only do I deal with a lot of difficult dogs, but I deal with dogs that have gotten kicked out of other salons. And so when I hear stories about groomers all over the world, but when I hear stories about groomers, you know, neglecting dogs, abusing the dogs, not properly handling the dogs, or properly understanding on how a dog could feel and just make their experience worse, I just feel like I'm doing this for my clients and for those dogs. Because if I remove myself and I'm not a groomer anymore, where are they gonna go? Where are my clients gonna go? Like, I would just feel absolutely horrible, and I feel like I need to be here. I need to be here for the dogs, and to be one more person that knows how to properly handle and knows how to properly understand the dogs and take care of them the best way that I can. And so that's why I stay and I continue to become a groomer, because I need to be here for my clients. And I was so proud of myself when I said that, because it was just like word vomit. It just like came right out, and that's how natural it is. I'm getting so off topic. So back to the story of me. Yeah, I told my husband, I was just like, you know what, like we can do this shit. I was like, honestly, like the way PetSmart runs, and like I see other groomers there, and I don't really like the way that they handle their dogs. And not that they were abusing their dogs, absolutely not. I would have absolutely said something. Like I did say something to one groomer who I'm so happy she got fired. But I just kept bitching and bitching and bitching. I don't care how much I was annoying to the managers. I was like, you need to get this lady the fuck out of here, because she was mishandling dogs. Oh my God, I felt bad for every single dog that she had. Anyways, and because I cared. I cared about them. So of course I'm gonna say something. You know what I mean? I can't sit there and not say anything. Like, we need to be their voice. They have no voice. So I had this like crazy idea, and I wanted to do mobile at first, but not only was it crazy expensive, we tried to do like a DIY, but I'm like, that's absolutely not gonna possibly work because we didn't know anything about it. I'm kind of glad that we didn't. And we didn't have a lot of money. We're in like the peak of the pandemic. Like, where are we getting this money from? Thank God I got money from the government, because they were just giving everyone money that, you know, didn't have a job. And so I was grateful for that. And so I started saving up when I went back to work. We started slowly opening back up. I think we went back around May. I think it was like 2 months to shut down. So I think it was May, and I was ready. I was just like saving my money, my little bit of money that I was making. Charles and I were just saving, and we were looking around. And long story short, there was this one place around my house where we were gonna open, but it didn't work out because the lady was kind of rude. She told me we were ready to sign, and I had gave my 2 weeks to PetSmart, and then she told me she's not ready. And so now I didn't have a job, I didn't have a salon, I didn't have anything. I was on Craigslist grooming dogs in my house, which crazy on both ends. I have no idea how those people could trust me, because I was on Craigslist and they just gave me their dogs and I just groomed their dogs in my house. And I have no idea how I trust those people and let strangers from Craigslist come to my house and I groom their dogs. Like, now that I think about it, I'm just like, I am like oblivious. I was so oblivious for doing that. But hey, whatever got me some money at the time. But yeah, and then I borrowed some money from my parents, which was only like $2,000, I think, $2,000 or $3,000. So then we put our money that we had together that we saved, which was like $3,000, and the total was $6,000, okay? So we had $6,000 in a dream, and we did it. So we found this one salon. It was a hair salon, and it was for rent, but it was gutted. Like, there was nothing in there besides the reception desk and then some like half wall kind of like shelving, I guess, where they kept the shampoos that they sold or that they used. I don't know, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, like, this place is perfect. Like, we were like, everything, the walls were done, because the first place we looked at, it was bare walls, bare floors, which my dad's a contractor. He has his own contracting company. So it was very helpful to have him, but obviously I'm gonna pay for the supply, so it would have been more expensive. And so this place was like turnkey ready. And so they were very hesitant on wanting to hire us. Like, we were young, it was our first business, and Charles just worked his magic on his networking and just like how he just talks and persuades people. And so they gave us a chance, which I am so grateful for them for that. For one of the brothers for that. I'm gonna repeat myself on that part. But yeah, so I went on Amazon. I got some Temu ass table for like $90. That was just like so cheap, but I didn't care. It was a table, it was hydraulic, pumped up, pumped down. I had a second table that was my traveling table that I already had from doing some dogs in my house during COVID. And so I had that. I bought a Flying Pig dryer, which shout out to Flying Pig. They had the cheapest dryer out there that was professional grade, I guess you can say. So great starter dryer, just one dryer. The reception desk was already there. Then get this was just like pure luck. There was a PetSmart closing in my area, and I didn't even know that it was closing, but we're just driving by because, you know, we passed by that road. It's a very busy road, and we just see a tub just sitting there at the entrance. Excuse me. And we're driving by, and I'm like, turn, there's a tub sitting there. And they're like, people are just like moving stuff around. So we go inside, and then there's just these guys. I don't know who they were. They were just like garbage people. And we were like, what are you guys doing with that tub? And they're like, oh, we're actually still selling like a lot of parts from the store, like shelving, you know, all that other stuff. And then we're like, how much do you want for this tub? And it was a Shoreline tub. This tub is like $2,500. I think it was almost $3,000. And the guy's like, I don't know, just give me $500 on it. you got a deal, sir. So we got that tub. It was so heavy. I had to get my dad to help me so we could put it in his truck. So we had to wait for the guy was like, you have to come here tomorrow. I'm like, Daddy, please come. I'm like, I need you to bring your truck. And so he obviously got his truck, and we all, like, 3 of us, well, no, I think it was just him and Charles that, like, lugged it to the truck, and that shit was so heavy. But yeah, and then that's all we had. That's all we opened up with. Oh, I bought a like little $20 register, like turnkey register that had money in it. And then I had an iPad that we already had. I was using Square. I had a free version at the time. And that's all we opened up with, $6,000, and that wasn't even on equipment. We spent about $4,000 for first month's rent and security deposit, and then we had the $2,000 to spare. So like the $500 tub, the table was like $90 something. So like, you know, we spent a little bit on that, and that's how we, oh my God, our salon, you gotta see it. I have to find a picture and show you guys one day, but it was just so rinky-dink, and we were just so proud of it. We were just so happy to just have our thing. And I was gonna do kennels in the beginning. We did buy 2 cage banks, like regular cage banks, nothing fancy, like literally crates we bought, and we never ended up using it. And it was just, the idea was to be just Charles and I. Stone! Babe. Ah, he's not listening to me. Ah, stop. He's eating. Ah, he just stopped. My cat is licking oil. He's done. He's licking oil again. So, yeah, it was very exciting. We opened in September during COVID. I had probably about 6 clients from PetSmart that followed me, and I only ended up with about 3 that actually stuck with me and stayed with me, which I was a little disappointed about. But I get it, like, it was a lot further from where I was working in PetSmart, like 20 minutes further, but for them, they were probably 20 to 30 minutes away from that PetSmart, so they were traveling like 40 to 50 minutes to me. So I do understand. But it was very slow in the beginning, but you know, we were super old school, giving out flyers. I was trying to do my best on social media, and thankfully, word of mouth, we were the only ones, I'm proud to say, we were the first and only salon owners that were doing one-on-one, no kennels. And there were other salons that were doing no kennels, but we were the only ones that had 1 dog at a time per stylist. So it was only me and Charles. So I would have 1 dog, and then he would have 1 dog. Literally, just like, it was so quiet, it was so calm, and a lot of people enjoyed that. And then it also helped that the holidays rolled around. So September, October, I don't know how the hell we made it. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how we did it, but we did it. And Raven, can you stop scratching? And holidays came around, so we were getting a lot of new clients that couldn't fit into their old groomers, and then they came to us. And my grooms were mediocre, I'm not gonna lie, my grooms weren't the best, but that just goes to show you give the proper care and proper customer service, and you just give them something that they enjoy, something that's new that they've never experienced before, and they're gonna stay with you. And so word got around that we were one-on-one. A lot of people enjoyed that, and then we started to get really busy. So then I was booking 2 weeks out because I was the only groomer, and then Charles started to do baths as well, so he was getting booked out as well, because then he would also help me prep my dogs. And then we came to the point where we're like, we're gonna have to hire. So we onboarded some girls from PetSmart, but they were just temporarily helping, except for 1 girl who I had her on weekends only. And then she was getting busy, so then by February we onboarded another groomer, and then March we onboarded another groomer, and oh my God, that was like the best team we've had. I miss them so much. They're the best. I still talk to all of them. I think I still talk to all of my employees, but not all, but most. But yeah, it was great, and we were just like so busy, and it was just like, it was great. And then, long story short, a few years later, employees were shifting. 1 opened up her own. thing in her house, which was great. And then the other one moved away, so then we were hiring to replace them. And then I got pregnant, and then postpartum hit me really, really bad. I guess it's also because of my other mental health issues that I deal with that just made my postpartum like horrible. But I found myself not enjoying grooming anymore. I found myself becoming a salon owner more than a groomer, and I love being a groomer. I love just being a groomer, and it was very hard for me to find that separation of how can I be a business owner as well as being a groomer. And usually it was Charles taking over the business side, but he started grooming as well, and so it became very difficult to try to balance everything. And then yeah, I was a completely different person at that time. I was honestly just like super depressed. My anxiety was just through the roof. I just didn't want to do it anymore, and I just didn't want to do grooming at all anymore. And then I just realized, like, no, like, this is what I love to do. And so we talked about selling the salon and just closing, and so we were supposed to sell to someone because we were going to add on mobile and then still have our salon. And then I'm just like, that's not gonna work. Like, I'm still like, I was like, I can't even be home and not deal with phone calls, which is fine. Like, that's the life of a business owner, fine. But it's just not a life that I wanted at the moment. And I had just started to grow my social media presence to the max. I started traveling a lot more. I started getting more opportunities at shows that I felt like I couldn't step away from the salon, because not only did we have to deal with a lot, we didn't want our employees to deal with our burdens, I guess you can say, like with clients, with just like handling everything. We tried to manage your position, didn't really work out with someone, which is fine. But it was just too much. It was just too much for me to handle, and I let my mental get the best of me. And so I just told them, I'm like, I'm not happy. Like, I can't do this anymore. I tried so much with these girls, and I just felt like they were never satisfied. I was never satisfied. And I just let my mental get the best of me. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. But I didn't want to just leave them and like leave them with no job. And so I tried to sell, and that didn't end up working out. We had a buyer. It was such an easy transition for this girl. Like, literally, like, here are your employees. My books are booked out for everyone months in advance. Like, you have the clients. I'm just gonna take my personal clients that came from me. Like, here you go. But it didn't end up working out because basically, long story short, our landlords at the time came to us 3 weeks before we were gonna leave and say, if you guys are not gonna be the ones here, like, we don't want anyone, like, other dog grooming business here. They were like, tenants are complaining and just like the noise is being too loud. And I'm like, well, that's funny. We've been here for 3 years and nobody has ever complained to us. Everyone says hi to us, very friendly, and we groomed this entire building upstairs and all their dogs. So what do you mean everyone's been complaining? I'm pretty sure they would have told me. And I groomed their dogs. So I was like, I'm very confused as to who's complaining. But I tried to talk him out of it. Well, Charles tried to talk him out of it, and it was just not working out. And I was just like, no way this is happening. And so we had 3 weeks to find our employees a new job, tell them they're gonna have to look somewhere else, empty our salon, empty our clients list and all the appointments that were booked, and sell and clean everything. So it was such a shit show. And we just had our son. So it was so hard. It was just the two of us. We cleaned that whole salon. Thankfully, I had the social media presence. I was just, everybody. I was just like, buy whatever the hell, how much do you want to buy this for? I'll sell it to you. I just needed all, because where am I going to put all that? Well, I don't need a table. I don't need a dryer. Our van came equipped. And that was a whole nother hurdle. Oh my gosh, getting that van was such a big thing. But I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't know what would have happened or what would have been different if we stayed open, but this is where we belong. This is where we want to be, and I'm happy. I'm happy where we are. And it's been a roller coaster ride. I could obviously get into that even more, but I don't want to because it's just so much. So anyways, I do want to bring up why I named this podcast Dial Me Later, and it's because not that I'm not going to be committed to this podcast, but I know that I can't do it every single day. Hell no. And I know also I won't be doing it every single week, although I would love to, but possibly once a month or every 2 weeks. I don't know. So Dial Me Later when I'm available. That's when you'll hear from me. So I was like, oh, that's actually a really cute idea. And then also with like my little intro song. So I was like, ah, that is cool. So yeah, that was all for that topic. Let me see if there was something else. So yeah, we're going to be doing story times. I will have guests on this podcast as well. I actually have a really good lineup for guests. I already have like 4 guests I have in mind, and they are going to physically be here. At least I'm going to invite them, and I believe they all can make it. I feel like it's a bit more personable, and I just don't want like qualities to like get messed up, and so I'm gonna have all of our guests come here. And oh my god, my favorite segment is going to be basically I'm going to have you guys, so if you are watching this, you can email me. My email will be in the description down below, and you are going to tell me your worst client experience, whether it's a dog or it's an owner, and I will be sharing that and reading that experience here. So if you are a dog groomer, you have to let me know what was the worst experience you've had with a client or with a dog, so I can share it and so other people can relate. Because I remember, especially when I first started my business, any little inconvenience that I had with a client of any kind, I took it so personal. I went home and I thought about it all night. And so I joined these Facebook groups of other groomers, and they would complain, although I don't really see much of that anymore. I don't know why. They would complain about like customers and like what they went through. And not to be mean, but it did make me feel better that other people understand what I'm going through. And then it also made me realize, oh my god, it can be a lot worse. And so I thought like that would be a great idea for me to do, so that everyone can relate and like not feel so bad about the situation that they're going through. Excuse me, jeez. I had soda today. I haven't had a soda in a while. So yeah, so I think that's gonna be really fun to read. And then also, I'm just looking to see, because I feel like I am everywhere. Advice, of course. I do want to bring up some business advice to everyone. Wow, this lighting is very nice. Hot takes in the industry. Things that I've went through. And let's see, what else is there? But yeah, going back to the very beginning, I mentioned that I am very relatable. So one of the things that I mentioned to people that I go through is I'm a very insecure person. I may seem confident online, but I am you can ask Charles, I am my biggest enemy. Like, I talk down on myself all the time. Like, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not doing better. And that's something that I am slowly starting to learn and realize about myself, that I just need to give myself a little bit more credit, a little bit more grace, because I feel like I have done a lot. And so I need to give myself the damn credit for it. But I'm always just too focused and determined on what I want for myself in the future, that I think that's why I never sit down and just realize or think like, hey, like, you know, you're doing a good job. And so yeah. And then I also want to be like the voice for mental health, because the amount of people, like I mentioned earlier, that reached out to me about it is just like amazing, that I can touch so many people and have other people relate to the things that I want to talk about. And so everyone's OCD is different, so a little bit touch up on that. My OCD is not cleanliness. Not that I am a dirty person, I am not. But, okay, so my OCD used to be really bad when I was a teenager, to the point where my room was a little my room was messy, but it wasn't dirty. It was just messy. It was just, everything was everywhere, but they needed to be that way. And anything that moved, like there were specific items that could not be moved, or else like it would really freak me out, because like I needed everything to be exactly the way they were, because if they were to move, I would have bad luck. So literally, I remember my friend came over when I was a teenager, and I had my hairbrush like this, slanted on my desk, and all she did was like turn it straight, and I was like, oh my god, I remember like thinking in my head, I do not want to look like a weirdo, but that's bothering me. I'm like, it's bothering me, it's bothering me, it's bothering me. And I just went and I slanted it back, and thankfully she didn't say anything. She kind of just left it, but I was just like, that was bothering me, because it was just something that in my brain, like if that's not left a certain way, like something's gonna change in my life. And that's just how my OCD was, and it still is that way, not to the extent of that, but that's how my OCD was. And so my mom would get so upset at me because like my room would be a mess, and she would be like, I remember this one time, I would never forget this, but she was like, I bet you can't even find, she said like this one item, and I'm like, it's right here. Like I knew exactly where it was, because like I memorized my mess, because this is how I wanted it to be. And not that it was like, again, it wasn't dirty, it was just like stuff in specific spots. Like I don't even know why I couldn't say that, but they were just like, it had to be very like tedious, and it had to be a certain way, or else it would bother me. My OCD would be me walking with my right foot, putting something on with my right side of my foot only. When I get out of bed, I have to get down on my right side, on my right foot. Everything has to be even numbers. When I turn on the radio and I turn it up, if it's on 67, it has to go down to 64 or go up to 68, not 66. I don't know why I can't do the number 66. It's really weird. Anything with 6, 46, 56, I can't do the 6 at the end. I can't explain that to you. I have no idea why still. It just bothers me. There are certain things where I put it back. I like, let's just say if I go like, put it in like this, and I'm like, that didn't feel right. I would literally go like this until it feels right. But if I put it down at an odd number and it's not an even number, I would have to do it again until it is an even number and it feels better. So things like that. Things of like, if I were to close the door and I think of someone that's a bad person or someone that I dislike, I feel like I'm gonna get bad luck, or I'm gonna get the luck of that person, or become that person that's bad. And so I have to open and close it again, and open and close it, and open and close it. And even with light switches, I don't go to that extent anymore with light switches, thank God. But light switches, turning the water on and off, had to be like a certain amount of times until I felt it was right. And then those are like my physical OCD symptoms. And then my mental OCD symptoms is, so I have a huge fear of feeling trapped. Not necessarily do I have a phobia in confined spaces. I like to be confined, I like to be snug, I like to be tight, because it just makes me feel safe. But the thought of being on an airplane, which I did for the first time last year to Atlanta, and I'm doing it again, and I'm fucking freaking out again about it, but I'm gonna do it because I know that the exposure is the best therapy and treatment for my phobia. But I didn't take trains for a very long time. I didn't want to go on a bus. Anything that I'm not in control of, I did not want to be in. And so my phobia with that and how it affects like me, it was just like I couldn't do certain things at all, because it required, I couldn't go over bridges for a very long time. Going over bridges freaked me out, because if God forbid something happened, where am I gonna go? And so even to this day, if I plan a trip somewhere, I plan everything. I plan if there's going to be a shooting, I plan if there's going to be a robbery, I plan if there's going to be someone trying to kidnap me. I have a plan for everything before I go somewhere. Even if I go out to eat, I have a plan. Where's the nearest hospital? If I'm staying somewhere that's more than a 20-minute drive from a hospital, I'm going to freak out every fucking night, because whatever. I remember we went to this trip at the Catskills like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was a freaking ghost town. There was like nobody. There was urgent cares, but they were closed like after 8 p.m. and like every single night I had anxiety because I'm like, what if I have a medical emergency? And they had no service. We just had our Wi-Fi. So that was not a fun time for me. But things like that, like it just bothers me, and it's just something that I can't control. And I think that's why I like spend so much time on making myself look a certain way online, or just making myself look presentable, or like buying unnecessary expensive things for myself, because I can't spend money on vacations because I don't want to be away from home. I don't want to be far from where I am. And so when I'm not spending money on a vacation, what am I spending my money on to enjoy myself? I'm gonna spend money on clothes, I'm gonna spend money on jewelry, I'm gonna spend money on eating out. And so I think that's why I also like to shop a lot. Like, I mean, that's not an excuse, but I mean, it's true. That's just how I feel about it. But yeah, this has definitely like affected me. I'm just gonna wrap this up now, but that has definitely affected me and my life, and like opportunities that I've had in the past that I couldn't do because my anxiety wouldn't allow me. Just because when I have a panic attack, it sucks. I haven't had one in a while, and recently it's just been acting up, and I just can't, like, I'm so scared to have one. And so if you don't know, when you have a panic attack, it's just an uncontrollable thing. My whole entire body goes numb. I start to feel like I'm not alive, if that makes sense. Like, nothing feels real to me. I start seeing, like, you know when you rub your eyes and then you start seeing like stars? Like, that's how I start, like, what I visually see. I feel like I can't breathe. I'm like hyperventilating. I get really hot, and like it's just a feeling that I don't like, and like I literally feel like I'm gonna die. And so it freaks me out anymore, and like there is nothing that can calm me down, and I just have to let it happen, and it just has to go. And at the moment it feels like forever, but it just takes a while. And then I just try so hard not to get to that point anymore, because it takes a very long time for me to get back into my normal day-to-day basis. And so I'm one of routine, and when my routine gets messed up, and I'm not talking about waking up, going to the gym, I wish I could have a routine like that. Just my routine of just being home, going to work, you know, doing whatever activities, going to shopping, doing whatever I gotta do. But no, I need to be home at the end of the day. But also I think that's why I like to work a lot. I just feel like it's a huge distraction. So when people ask me, like Jay asked me on his podcast, like when people ask, like, how do you do it? How do you do it with 2 kids, your husband, your business, your social media? My anxiety is what gets me to do it, because I need to keep myself distracted so that I don't have a fucking panic attack, because it just helps me. It helps me be distracted, and it is bad sometimes because I do feel like it affects my relationship sometimes, because I just need to be focused on something. And I don't know if anyone else that struggles with this as well, but I don't like to talk about it. Like right now I'm okay talking about it because I'm not really getting into detail, but I don't like talking about, like, and I'm calm and I'm home, I'm comfortable, so like I could talk about it right now. But when I am feeling anxious, I can't go to anyone and just say, hey, like, I'm feeling anxious, because that's gonna make me freak out more, and I don't want to talk about it, and I just want to distract myself with something else. And I think that's something that a lot of people that are in a relationship with people with anxiety or whatever, like, it's hard for them to understand, but it's also hard for them too, because it's like they want to help you, but it's just like, oh my god, just don't talk about it, like, let's just talk about something else. But it's just, then it's just hard, because it's like, why are you acting that way? And it's just like, you can't say anything, because I can't tell you why I'm acting this way, because I'm dealing with something mentally in my head, and I can't talk about it because then it'll freak me the fuck out. So yeah, that's briefly touched up on that, but we'll get more into that in another episode. And I do plan on having a special guest for someone that I know that deals and has struggles with the same exact thing. So I'm very excited, and I hope she's on board with it. So I'm going to wrap up this episode. It was great chatting with you guys. So don't forget, I do have the email down below in the description for the stories. If you guys can go ahead and send, because I would like to start that for the next episode and get that going. But I do have if you are new here or you just don't know about this, I do have a groomer social club. It's at groomer social club. You can find it on Instagram, but we're having a groomer social retreat in Pennsylvania in January 23rd. It'll just be for the weekend. It'll be all groomers. There's one spot left, so if you guys want to go, you just let me know. I would love to have you there, and thank you for listening. So I'll see you guys at the next episode. Bye.